Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a story that, as ancient as the mountains and as deep as the forest floor, a tale not just of power, but of profound resilience. We're talking about a king, yes, but not your typical crown-wearing monarch. We're talking about a bear king, a ruler of the wild, whose strength wasn't just in his roar, but in his scars. Imagine a kingdom nestled deep within towering pines and rushing rivers. For generations, this land was protected by a lineage of magnificent bear kings, each one embodying unwavering strength and fierce loyalty. Our story centers on King Bjorn, whose name itself means bear. From a young cub, he was destined for greatness, inheriting a lineage of wisdom and courage. He was a force of nature, his fur like polished obsidian, his roar echoing through the valleys, commanding respect and instilling a sense of security in all who lived under his watchful eye. He led his people with unmatched prowess, defending against rogue wolves and ensuring the delicate balance of the forest was maintained. The stream ran clear, the berries grew plump, and peace reigned under King Bjorn's mighty paw. He was the epitome of a perfect ruler, an unbreakable guardian. But even the mightiest trees can be struck by lightning, and even the strongest hearts can be shattered. One harsh winter, a blight swept through the forest, a strange sickness that withered the ancient trees and scattered the vital salmon runs. King Bjorn fought tirelessly, using every ounce of his immense strength and ancestral knowledge to protect his kingdom. He ventured into treacherous territories, braving blizzards and battling unseen forces, trying to find a cure, a solution, anything to save his people. He pushed himself beyond all limits, sacrificing his own well-being for the good of his subjects. The struggle took its toll. He returned to his den not victorious, but deeply wounded, not just physically but spiritually. He had saved many, yes, but the blight had claimed others, and the forest itself bore deep scars. King Bjorn, once a beacon of unyielding power, now carried a profound sorrow. He became quiet, his once vibrant spirit dimmed. The glint in his eyes, usually sharp and vigilant, sometimes seemed distant, haunted by the losses he couldn't prevent. His powerful frame now seemed burdened, his gait a little heavier. He was, to all appearances, broken. The weight of his failures, real or perceived, pressed down on him, whispering doubts into his once confident mind. He questioned his worth, his strength, his very ability to lead. The other animals noticed. The younger bears, who once looked up to him with awe, now whispered amongst themselves. The squirrels scampered a little less boldly near his den. Even the wise old owls seemed to hoot with a note of concern. They saw the king who had saved them, but they also saw his pain, his deep melancholy. He was still their king, but he was no longer the picture of unyielding strength they had always known. He was a king with a heavy heart, a leader carrying the invisible wounds of battle. It seemed as though the crown he wore was no longer a symbol of power, but a burden of sorrow. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. King Bjorn retreated further into himself, performing his royal duties with a quiet efficiency, but lacking the vibrant presence that had once defined his reign. He still patrolled the borders, ensured justice, and protected his kin, but the joy, the fierce pride, seemed to have left him. He was a king in function, but felt diminished in spirit. The whispers grew louder, not of malice, but of worry. Could a broken king truly lead? Could a sorrowful heart inspire hope? The kingdom, though physically recovering, felt a shadow lingering, the shadow of their king's unspoken pain. Then came another challenge, different from the last. A band of rogue poachers, drawn by the recovering forest, began to trespass, their metallic traps and cruel intentions threatening the fragile peace Bjorn had worked so hard to restore. Panic rippled through the animal kingdom. These were foes of a different kind, cunning and merciless, with weapons that even a mighty bear found difficult to contend with. The younger, less experienced leaders were paralyzed by fear, remembering the king's recent struggle, wondering if he still had the fire within him. It was in this moment of collective despair that something shifted within King Bjorn. He saw the terror in the eyes of his subjects, heard the cries of despair, and a flicker of his old fire ignited. He looked at his own reflection in a calm pool of water, at the weary eyes, the scars etched into his face, but he also saw the resolve, the duty that still burned deep within him. He remembered his oath, his purpose. His brokenness, he realized, didn't define him. It had simply reshaped him. It had taught him humility, empathy, and a new kind of strength, one born not just of power, but of deep, quiet resilience. With a profound roar that hadn't been heard in months, a roar that shook the very foundations of the forest, King Bjorn emerged from his den. It wasn't the roar of a young, arrogant king, but the resonant call of a king who had faced darkness and chosen to rise again. He rallied his people, not with boasts of invincibility, but with the quiet courage of someone who understood hardship. He taught them to be cunning, to work together, to protect their home with intelligent strategy, not just brute force. He shared his hard-won wisdom, showing them how to navigate the tricky terrains, how to anticipate their enemies' moves. He led the charge against the poachers, but not recklessly. He used his knowledge of the forest, his profound connection to the land, to outmaneuver them. He was still powerful, but now he was also strategic, patient, and deeply empathetic to the fears of his followers. He protected the most vulnerable, putting himself in harm's way not out of bravado, but out of a deep, abiding love for his kingdom. His every move was deliberate, infused with the wisdom gained from his trials. The animals watched in awe not just at his strength, but at his unwavering spirit, his profound dedication. In the end, the poachers were driven out, not just by King Bjorn's might, but by the united force of the animals, inspired by their king's renewed purpose. The forest was safe once more. But this time something was different. King Bjorn didn't return as the same king he was before the blight. He returned as a king who understood pain, who knew loss, who had been tested and found his strength anew, not despite his brokenness, but because of it. His scars, once symbols of his struggle, now became badges of honor, testaments to his survival and his capacity for compassion. His rule became even wiser, more compassionate. He understood the struggles of his subjects on a deeper level, having faced his own profound challenges. He wasn't just a powerful leader. He was a leader who understood what it meant to be vulnerable, to doubt, and to overcome. His brokenness had not diminished him. It had forged him into an even greater hero. He taught his kingdom that true strength isn't about never falling, but about rising again, carrying your experiences as wisdom, and leading with a heart full of both power and profound empathy. So, what can we learn from King Bjorn, the broken but heroic Bear King? His story reminds us that life will inevitably bring challenges, that we will face moments that break us, that leave us scarred and questioning our path. But those very moments, those periods of vulnerability and struggle, are not the end. They are the forge where true strength is hammered out. It's in facing our weaknesses, acknowledging our pain, and choosing to rise again, that we discover an even deeper reservoir of courage and resilience within ourselves. Being broken doesn't mean you're useless. It means you've been tested, and you have stories to tell, wisdom to share, and a unique perspective to offer. It means you understand empathy, because you felt pain. It means you can lead with a heart that has known struggle, and that, my friends, is the mark of a true hero. King Bjorn's legacy wasn't just in his strength, but in his ability to endure, to heal, and to lead with a heart that had been profoundly touched by life's toughest lessons. He showed us that even a king can be broken and still be the most magnificent hero his kingdom has ever known. Thank you so much for joining me today on this journey through the forest. If King Bjorn's story resonated with you, if it sparked a little fire in your own heart, please give this video a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on more inspiring tales. Share your thoughts in the comments below. What does broken but heroic mean to you? We love hearing from you. Until next time, stay strong, stay resilient, and keep shining brightly.